Welcome to the OFX podcast. I'm Dave Claxton. Along with me, as always, is the killer queen of Canadian cardio, Bethany McChesney. She's going to delight me with her workout. Why did you do such a hard workout? What was it?
It was my second workout of the day. Um,
Yeah.
we did a run in the morning. Sometimes when there's like only one person on the schedule, and it's someone who I know is training for something, I'm like, we're gonna do this workout together. Um, and I mean, because it's a holiday, there wasn't really a lot of people are away right now. So the workout that I did was I wanted to get a lot of machine stuff in, because I haven't really done much of that since Hyrox Worlds. So we started so the buy-in was 1,000 meter ski, and then we did 8 rounds of, so it was a 6 minute EMOM. So your rest is whatever's left in the 6 minutes. 500 meter on an erg. So we alternated rower ski. Um, 15 burpee broad jumps, 15 dumbbell thrusters, 20 reverse lunges. And we averaged a rest of around a minute. And then your buyout is 1,000 meter row. So the whole workout time wise is a solid 60 minutes of like pretty high intensity. Because if you slow down, you don't get a rest, which is how EMOMs kind of work. So
Yeah. Good point. Yeah.
um, after the first round, and I haven't really done any intensity since Hyrox Worlds, with the ultra and everything else. So I was after the first round, I was like, I'm gonna vomit. Like, and you still have like 48 minutes left. But I got through it, and I had two other people that came and did it with me. So and we were all in our Canada gear. So we got through it. I'm probably gonna have a hard time walking tomorrow, but just threw myself back into hard workouts.
So right now is kind of the point in the season anyway, and especially for you. So like High Rocks is over, right? You're not doing DECA, but even me, like it's a long way away, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of a cool time to fuck around and do anything.
Yeah, and you kind of throw some things in because I was kind of making it up on the fly a little bit and trying to figure out timing and stuff. So but we have this High Rock sim in Windsor coming up. So I don't want to show up and be completely out of High Rock shape and make a bit of a fool of myself. So I do need to keep some of that in the mix for sure. This summer for me is definitely more about the running,
Yeah.
but you got to keep this other stuff in.
So just an idea occurred to me. So you like we talked about Friday Night Light stuff before, right?
Yeah.
Here's what you do. And we've also talked about like uh uh DECA Russian roulette. So we
Yeah.
can these two things, right? So where you just take a bunch of different movements, throw them all into a hat on Friday night, and then the people show up and you literally pull the movements out of the hat, and that's your workout for the night.
Um, did I ever tell you about how my one coach, my club track coach, used to have mystery workouts?
Did he actually know what they were doing, or was it a mystery to him too?
No, so it was definitely a love-hate with them. So what he had was so we had three different envelopes because we were kind of divided into three groups. So the fast males, the slower males and the fast females, and then the slower females. So ABC group is what they were called. And so each envelope, so he had a distance that you had to run on the track, and you had a time that you had to hit, which was appropriate for your group. So there would be maybe like 8 to 10 people in each group. So when it was my turn, I would pull out what the next interval was, and everyone had to go with me, and people didn't know what I was doing. So
Not.
it could be a 300, 400, 600. And when it started, everyone just had to run with me and try to hit that pace. It was like mentally, it was so difficult. And that is why he did it,
Yeah.
was to kind of prepare your mind for, and I mean, especially in track racing, there's variables that happen in the race. Like people make surges and stuff, and you kind of have to go with it. Um, if and you don't always know, and you might always feel great when they happen, and kind of having to cover cover the surges and stuff. So it was kind of mentally preparing you for stuff like that when you're like, oh, I don't feel like pushing this hard right now, but you kind of have to go. And yeah, they were very memorable for me. Um and I actually sometimes you would pull out a tag that said extra rest.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and then you'd get to have an extra rest break between. But yeah, they were pretty iconic. So mystery workouts.
Do you think that mental stuff really pays off a lot? Like when you do that, do you think so? Like, I know obviously sport competition, big mental side of it, but do you think that like training it that way really helps? Or do you think that's it's something that you just got or you don't got?
Well, it's definitely something you can train. Some
Mhm.
people would naturally have it more than other people, and we definitely see people who just have that edge mentally where they can kind of go, they can go to a different place and kind of live in that in the in the pain cave a lot better than other people can. And but it's also it is something that you can train, like putting yourself in extremely uncomfortable situations on purpose. And I think changing the way that you're uncomfortable does help. And you when you do those kind of things too, you rely on it when you're in moments like races or even in other life moments where you're like, I've done this before and I was okay. And then yeah, it helps you the more you do it. And you can train that. They say, resiliency and grit is a trainable trait.
Yeah. I think you can also just have it. I think some people are blessed.
But do you think people are still born with it, or maybe they had to develop it because of childhood?
Yeah, it might be through different means, right? Yeah, yeah, you're right. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, I think a lot of times for me, some of the grit, and I don't claim to be the greatest, grittiest guy in the world, but I do have my own resolve. But I think a lot of that came from my work,
Hmm.
like just working in such difficult physical conditions and sometimes like, I mean, I think back to a day when I was working on transport tires and lying under this transport tire middle of December in a slushy puddle, swinging a sledgehammer on the side of the 401 and like
Hmm.
just what you had to do.
Hmm.
So I mean, I think sometimes you can get, like you say, you can get it from outside sources from work, but yeah, I think some people just got it. Some people just are just nasty by nature.
Hmm.
Have that. I'm just gonna fucking outdo you. I'm gonna outdo me. I'm gonna yeah. So
Yeah. I still think it probably comes from something in childhood at some point.
older
Um, Older siblings, like the
siblings
environment
help.
you grew up in. I
Yeah.
find, people that if you grew up on a farm and like there's no such thing as sleeping in, which was me, like it's just there's and stuff has to be taken care of and farm labor is hard.
What was your schedule? I'll tell you mine, but what was your schedule like as a kid when you were on the farm? By the way, way off. We don't even we have a topic,
Like
honestly.
on a Saturday, I mean, we had to be up at the crack of dawn. Like we raised chickens, so they had to be fed every day. I had to do that before school. We had like an acre-sized garden, so we had to weed. Like we had to weed for I don't remember how long, but a time frame before we were allowed to play. So we
Because
had
it was
all these
never done.
chores. Yeah, we had all these chores that we had to do before we were really allowed to play. But I don't remember ever sleeping in. There is no way I would have ever been able to sleep in. No way.
So for me, and this was a weekday, we'd be up at 4:30, feed the horses, shovel shit, get ready, go to
Mhm.
school, come home, feed the horses, shovel shit,
Mhm.
repair whatever needs to be repaired, and then train us and also exercise horses that needed exercising and lessons and all that stuff. And then you go to bed. And
Mhm.
that was our schedule. And that was, all through the winter. Like oh my God, just frozen Nova Scotian days out
Yeah, and
there.
that's the thing too with farm labor is it's not like bad weather, you take it off.
I learned how to solder pipes when I was 11 because we had automatic water feeders for the horses and they'd freeze up
Mhm.
all the time and burst the pipes. We'd have to cut it out and put in new ones. And
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. And there's no age. what's it called? There's no like, oh, they're too young. No, man, you're in. That's it.
No. Yeah.
There's no too small. There's no too young. There's no you just yeah. This is another hand. Go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved it though, because I even through high school worked on a farm as my job. Like I actually really enjoyed it. So
I tried that and I couldn't get back into it. Like when I moved back down here and then I got a job on a farm and I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore.
no, I enjoyed it.
Not
It was
enough.
yeah, it was my time to not have to be mentally stimulated.
By the way, it's Canada Day. Cheers.
You your athletic brew.
Yes, light.
Mhm.
It's my favorite one. And my Canadian flag. Um, so we did our HTX testing today. We had about 40 people try it, all sorts of different wide ranges of stuff. Um, it went really, really well.
Mhm.
It was pretty good. A lot of good reviews, some good feedback and stuff, but like really good. And I had a massive PR for me.
Which
So
one? The
uh,
heavy?
no running because I didn't do any of the running because I wanted to watch other people and talk and stuff like that. So I went right away. Went first, did it, and I was 10:32. So for me, that was fun. No, none of these times would meet anybody, but for my time before was
Yeah.
like my time before was 13:30. It's just, getting better at getting stronger and getting better at the clean and press, which is what
Mhm.
slowed me down.
Mhm.
But it was really good. A lot of cool things we made a really cool patch. Sorry, that's
What?
probably inverted. So it's like
No, no, it's not. Oh, I see.
so anyway, and everybody got one of those. So we had a good time. It was good, very much enjoyed, very Canada Day workout.
Hmm.
Say wore my hat the whole time.
Hmm.
And yeah, saw some interesting stuff. Some people flying in certain parts and getting crushed by others.
Hmm.
And so I think we got something. We might actually do something. Might actually have something. So anyway, do you want to talk about? Oh, wait, before we talk about that, because you mentioned track. What did you think
Yeah.
about the girl going for the 4 minute mile?
Breaking four with Faith Kipyegon.
Yeah,
Um,
like copyright infringement, breaking two with Kipchoge. It's way too close together. But
well, it's
anyway,
not copyright. It's all a Nike
I
project.
know.
Yeah. Um, I mean, when I first heard it announced, I mean, I knew she wasn't gonna do it. Not to be pessimistic, but her personal best was a 4:07. And I mean, no changing your shoes or putting on more aerodynamic clothes or having a special formation of runners in front of you is going to take 7 seconds off a mile. Like,
That's
we're not
math.
talking about the marathon where you have 42K to take 2 minutes. Like, this was taking that much time off of already the fastest time in the world ever by a female. It wasn't going to happen with changing all those variables. It but it's an interesting experiment. I appreciated that, we're putting a woman here on this stage and like really focusing on a strong female who does something really amazing. I mean, Faith Kipyegon is really the goat of the middle distance on the track. um they picked the right person, but it wasn't going to happen. And I don't even think that Nike really thought that it could happen. Really, what I believe all of this was it's a publicity thing for Nike. So, they designed this new shoes and it's so interesting when you look at how in depth they go into like even the yarn and the way that it's sewn on the shoe. And there was all, is it going to be 5 spikes or 6 spikes in the shoe? And like the amount of testing is just absolutely insane. And then with her outfit and with like just there's so many variables. And then even the formation of the runners, her pacers that were on the track, and like a special formation of how they were gonna stand by her. And but yeah, what I think is it's for really is now Nike's gonna release a new track spike and it's gonna sell out like crazy. Like, but it's not going to be the spikes that she was wearing because they admitted that these spikes were way too like not resilient enough to last. Like they needed this spike was so light. They said it so the spike weighed, what did they say? Or just the material weight as much only the weight of three paper clips.
Oh, God.
Like crazy light. So they can't release this spike because it's not going to last a season. It was made to last 4 laps of the track.
Yeah.
And but they'll come out with, this new technology and then they'll sell these spikes. And I think that's really what this is about.
Yes,
And I think they'll
and
sell the racing shirts or the stuff that she was wearing. And yeah.
I don't think if you asked them, they would deny that,
Yeah.
you know, but maybe some other
Yeah.
people delude
So
themselves thinking it's not that, but
yeah. I heard a stat and I didn't fact check this, but it was that it's taken 20 years of track racing to take 6 seconds off the women's mile world record. So she did set a world record. Now it's not
it doesn't
legal.
count, right?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
doesn't count. She did run a 4:06, so she took a second off of her time, which I would say is probably what I would have predicted. Like if she took 2 or 3 seconds, I'd be a 1 second. Yep, that makes sense. Everything's perfect. But I think for to see a woman go sub 4, we're still talking like not this generation of runners.
so her time before, you say she took a second off,
Mhm.
and I assume her old record was like in a proper race.
Yeah.
So do you think the shoes did fuck all? Like, because I mean, she had pacers, right? And she had like guidance, and she had people breaking the wind for her, and she had the specials. Could she not have done the same thing in her other shoes?
Um,
Because I would think, to me, somebody blazing the trail and pacing me would be more beneficial than an half an ounce of weight off my shoe.
yeah, so there's other things to the shoe. They have there's air pockets now underneath the toe box, like underneath the forefoot, so it does give more
Beth,
energy back on each stride.
Beth,
Is
was it
it
the
worth
shoe
a
or
second?
the shoe or the other stuff, Beth? The shoe or the other stuff?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I think it's all the things, but I still think in real racing, it's the motivation to win, like a world championship title or there wasn't really a whole lot at stake here. It's still kind of a spectacle.
Probably money, but that's a
Yeah, and I'm sure she made money off of this too. So,
which again
I mean,
for anyone in track is great, right?
yeah, yeah. So, I mean, I love that we highlighted a female who's been around the track world a really long time, and she has a lot of the respect of the track community, but she's a name now that I think people will know better that maybe didn't before, and I appreciate all of that. But was she going to break 4 minutes? No. I don't really think anyone actually believed it who understands.
Not a 7 second drop. Like, you're not talking someone for me going from like a 5:57 to a 5:50. That
Right.
it's not a case of that, right? It's a case of someone who already holds the world record knocking 7 seconds off.
Yeah.
That doesn't
Yeah.
happen.
It wasn't
You're
gonna
saying
happen.
high runs.
If they put it on a downhill mile course on
Yeah.
the roads, maybe. And
Dog
with wind at her back.
dog assisted.
Yes.
Yes. So like if you have like a greyhound attached to a
Dog
weight.
assisted. Oh, like canine racing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you
Even if it was like a downhill course, straight line, but they said she didn't want she felt more comfortable doing it
yeah.
on a track. Um,
Yeah, but if she did it downhill like that, then everybody would just say whatever, that's a joke. I think
well, exactly.
her
Yeah.
doing it on the track at least gave it a sense of some kind of legitimacy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you know at Park Run they won't let you do dog assisted runs for the 5Ks? You know what a
Well,
park run is, right?
like a 5K.
Yeah, but like it's a whole organization, right? Park run organization.
Yeah.
Okay. So we used to do one in Guelph and I take the dog. They're fine to let you take the dog, no problem. But you can't wear a waist leash and take them that way. You have to hold the leash in your hand.
I mean, that kind of makes sense.
It does, but it's a park run. It's not a competition.
People
Nobody,
take this stuff very seriously. Go in a canine race. There's lots of
I
them.
don't, I just wanted to, it's safer to have him there than to
It
hold him on.
is. Yeah.
Want to run. I don't know. I thought it was funny. I thought it was funny that the park run, that you don't pay to enter, that there's no prizes, there's no podiums, there's no nothing, is
Mhm.
considered dog assisted.
Oh, it's that chill.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, have you never done a park run?
No, I don't. I thought it was a thing in the UK where you raced 5Ks. I thought a park run was a 5K race.
Park run is a 5K, right? But it's really just to show up and run. They do keep your time, right? But there's no podiums, there's no awards, there's no nothing. It's just, hey, here was your time. And,
Oh.
and it's free.
Oh, okay.
So it's not, I mean, honestly, if you haven't done one, hey, it's a cool time. You show up with some friends, you do your 5K, socialize, get a good run in, all that.
Hmm.
But yeah, like anything, it's I guess you got to be serious. So yeah, but you should check it out. Check out a park. I think you'd really enjoy it.
Yeah. Mhm.
Take the kids.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk Hyrox. We're gonna do some Hyrox pass or fail.
Mhm.
Hyrox pass or fail. Some changes, some kind of changes, some not changes, and we're gonna ask Beth whether these things pass or fail. Most of them she's been prepped for. A couple ones I added after. All right, we're gonna start here. Pass or fail. On the farmer carry, dumbbells can now be passed in the air. So like hand to hand, you don't have to set them down as long as it's not forwards. This is one you weren't prepped for, sorry. But it's also not a giant change or anything. So
Yeah. And by dumbbells, you mean kettlebells.
kettlebells, my bad.
Um,
Dumbbells on the brain, my bad.
yeah. I'm just visualizing it dropping on someone's foot.
So the Belgium dudes in the doubles have been doing this, and I guess that's kind of what the rule came from. Is the one runs
But
is
was there a rule about it not being allowed before?
no, it was one of those gray areas in the High Rocks rule book that there was no rule about how to pass it or not.
I don't think it's gonna be faster.
Yeah, well, they seem to think that it is, but anyway, so they've been doing it for a while. One guy runs in front, gives it a little swing back, and the other guy grabs him, takes him from him, and then he gets out of his way and he continues
Oh,
forward.
that sounds awful to me.
It's
Just
terrifying.
swinging heavy kettlebells backwards. Oh my gosh, no. I don't like this at all.
I'm
No. As
used to this.
someone who broke her foot dropping a no.
How many children have you injured dropping kettlebells on them?
Me, just one. And he didn't belong to me.
I got to see it too. I witnessed the whole thing.
No, it was traumatizing.
Tough kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, when they do it, it does look very smooth. I'm with you. The fear of many broken toes when dumb idiots like me try this move.
Yeah, no, I don't like it at all.
All right, this
No.
is a fail, officially the first fail
No.
from Beth. All right, all right, so I think that might have been, maybe that might have been the only one that you didn't know about.
No, I didn't.
Okay, all right, this one, and there'll be more about this later, but the doubles qualifier races, Elite 15 races, will now be held on the same weekends as the regular solo Elite 15 races. Is that a pass or a fail?
I mean, I think are those are the only qualifying races for doubles?
Mhm.
I mean, I get it because then they don't have to, because I feel like a lot of the Hyrox qualification systems is requiring people to travel so much. So I
Mhm.
think this helps people to not have to travel so far. So I do look, I appreciate it because I think if I was someone who was want at that level, I would want to just get it done in one weekend.
All right, and I agree with you. I think this is a pass because one, it's going to make a special weekend even more special
Hmm.
for me as a fan, right?
Mhm.
Some of the people who want to compete in the doubles will also be trying to qualify in the solos. So it makes it a little better for them. And I think it means that they will live stream the doubles race properly. And I, again, am a big fan of that idea.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
so we're on board. That's a pass. So we're agreeing on two. All right. Okay. Auto qualifications. All major winners from last year and the top three at Worlds have auto quals for all the majors this coming season. Pass or fail.
Um, I mean, it's always been like this. The reason I like it is because I will say, as a s- if Hyrox has become a bit of a spectator sport, and a
Mhm.
lot of these people are, the fan favorites. So if they're always going to be there, I think people like to see, the Lauren and the Meg and the Dylan, and so I don't mind it. It kind of makes sense. It takes some of the pressure off of them, which I'm sure they like. The only thing is sometimes I feel like the top 15 is so hard to break into. So now when you take the first five or six and they're already there, then we're limiting the amount of spots that are available for people to crack into it. Um, so I'm gonna say it's a pass for now because I yeah, I mean they would have probably got into it anyways, but I do appreciate kind of giving them a nod to the next season.
All right. I'm on the other side. I'd say it's a fail. It's an epic fail. It's in the past. It's last year. Nothing to do with this year. We're
Yeah.
moving on. Because I think I want true, fair competition as much as possible. And I think that this just allows people to strategize and kind of manipulate the game. And I'd rather just see everybody on equal footing at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
That's
So
just
like the slate is wiped clean every season.
every season wiped clean.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay, this one's okay. Over 60-year-old age division can now run with pro weights if they want.
So with this one, when they do, is there separate podiums then?
Yeah, there'll be a pro podium, yeah.
So then what about for their world's qualification? Because they don't race pro weights at worlds.
They will be now.
There's no open division at worlds for 60 plus.
No, the open division, open championship will be at the open championship.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm on the fence with this one, and only because I I love to see people coming into the sport later in life and having someone who's 65 trying their first Hyrox. So for that to happen too, I feel like the barrier of entry has to be lower because pro weight is very heavy.
Mhm.
If and But I understand if you're someone who has been competing in high rocks for 6, 7 years and now you turn 60 and now you have to do the lighter weight and that's not really what you want. You want to keep being challenged by the pro weights. And I can see that being frustrating. And I have the only person I've ever talked to about this rule was John Loney, and he didn't like it.
Yeah.
Um, so I see where he's coming from, but again, he's also someone who would be at the top of his age group and has raced competitively his whole life. So it's kind of a unique opinion, I think, in that way, but to keep these divisions with people still in them, and new people coming into the sport in these divisions, I think it makes it really hard for them to switch 100% to the pro weight.
So I think I actually am on board with this, but I think as an add-on, we need to make the open championships more important. We need to make that open championships actually worth something, like valuable, because it for the people who race open now, it's a different race, right? And I think there's no harm in making that a very valuable goal for the people getting into it. So, and the reason, like, and I was talking to Cheryl about this before. If if I'm 80 years old and I'm the only guy out there who can do the pro weights, God damn it, I want my championship. And if I'm the only one who can do it and I'm the only one who shows up, I still deserve it because I'm old enough and strong enough to do it. So I like it, and but I think they need to bump up the Open Championships a bit more.
Mhm.
All right, pass or fail on this one, and this one I didn't write down, but it kind of relates to this. There are no more qualifying for World Championship pros in with the Open division, except for at the Open Championship,
Yeah, this one we've said from the beginning needed to be in place.
and it's almost in place.
Yeah, I mean the Open Championships, like I understand because people race the Open Championships who typically race pro even just because it's a championship. But I don't think that people should qualify for the World Championships in an open race when the World Championships is 100% pro race, pro weights. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's still a fail to me, but it's a little less of a fail than it was before.
Yeah.
Slightly less epic, but still a fail. It's like they're like right at that F plus.
So you're saying fail as in you don't like the rule?
I don't like it because they didn't finish it. Because
Oh, so you don't like that you can still qualify from the Open Championships.
yes,
But it's going to be one person in each division.
I have no idea what it'll be.
Do you think though someone is going to win the Open World Championships without having run a pro race?
No, I don't. But those same people will have already qualified likely, and then there can be a roll down to somebody who maybe doesn't. And I just don't see the point. I don't see the point in having that be a case, a scenario. Like I don't see uh, if you could tell me the good upside to it, I could maybe get on board, but I just don't see the upside. Because if you're racing the Open Championships, it's not your first race. You have had other chances to race,
Yeah.
right? So I don't see the upside to it. It's just not clean to me.
Mm.
But I mean, I think they're getting closer
Hmm.
slowly. All right. All right. Time penalties to replace distance penalties. We saw it at World Championships with time penalties. They are now going to be assessing time penalties and I guess applying them at the end of the race.
Yeah, I really didn't like this.
Yeah.
Um, because what it created was the two people cross the finish line first, and then we wait. And then you're watching the clock. So the people, they can't cross the finish line and celebrate. They have to wait and see what happens after the fact. If they had a time penalty, which happened at the World Champs with like all the doubles races.
Nate and Lucy were a really big one.
Yeah. And so it's like you're running against the clock all of a sudden instead of your competitors like and then I can't even imagine the kind of math they were probably doing in their head like we have to be 25 seconds ahead of the next team like and
Yeah.
so I it made the finish line crossing very anticlimactic for the people that crossed the finish line first.
And for the people watching.
Yeah, because then you're just watching the clock and you don't know, and then you still have to kind of wait, and like it was just really awkward.
And you're trying to embrace this epic finish, and it's like, well, is that really the finish?
Yeah, and then you wait, and then the delayed. Oh my gosh, we won! And the thing too that would feel weird to me is like the two Laurens who ended up winning because of the time penalties. They also then don't really have their moment because they're like, oh, that kind of sucks because we didn't actually cross the finish line first, but we still got it because you. And then it all feels kind of weird.
So tell me this, because quite obviously, Lauren Weeks, when she went to the podium or to the interview afterwards, very clearly was not overwhelmed with joy. She felt this sucks, right? Like
Yeah.
this is not how I want to win. Great, we won, and she was very happy to win, but she's like, this is not how I want to win. If
No.
and I think a lot of people probably had this idea, but I know Rich Ryan said it publicly. If they made it so that your penalty was served right there at the station,
Mhm.
So, like, for example, they drop the sandbag. All right, here's your penalty, 30-second hold, and then let them go. And then in that case, Lauren Weeks and Lauren Griffith would have crossed the finish line first. Do you think that at that point Lauren Weeks would have felt differently about it?
Yeah, because then you're racing them still.
Yeah, and I think you're
And
right.
then Lucy and Sinead could race themselves back into it after the fact. They serve their penalty, they race. Now, I don't think that it's right though that they have a time penalty where they stop and they have a rest
Mhm.
because then you're giving them a rest in the middle of the race.
Understand that, but I would think you would make the penalties long enough that that wouldn't matter because if that was actually a good strategy, people would be doing it now, right? Like,
There's a holding penalty.
no, 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 no. If it was a good strategy to sit and rest 30 seconds, you know what I mean? So I don't really think it's an advantage if you make them wait 30 seconds. Like, yes, they get a little rest, but I don't think that rest overcomes the lead or the distance they lose. Do you understand what I'm saying? Am I saying that right?
Yeah,
And if
I
and if you thought it did, then just make it a longer time penalty.
no, I think what they should do with all of them is they have to go back in the station.
Hmm.
So if it's lunges, you have a 5 meter penalty. If it's farmer's carry, you have a distance penalty. If it's burpees, you have a distance penalty. If it's sleds, you gotta now the push makes more sense than the pull, but I think the pull you'd have to modify so that you don't have to run all the way back, pull it, and then run all the way back because I think that's too long. Like whether you have to push the sled 2 meters or whatever, but I think it should happen instantly, but I don't think that they should have a break.
What if like and the sled pull penalty was quite literally, all right, you stepped on the line twice, you get your penalty, run 10 meters out, run 10 meters back. Something like that. You don't even have to move the sled.
Oh, yeah, like just run back. Yeah,
Yeah.
it could be
It's just
that.
shuttle run, like a quick shuttle run down and back to
Yeah.
however far you think that, would take. If you think it should be 30 seconds, however far most people would be 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I prefer the distance-based penalties as well. It's more right there. It's more immediate.
So
And
they're making this all time based and it's all added on after the race
my understanding, yes.
or just in elites.
No, for everybody, to my understanding.
They're going to do that math for everybody.
Well, I just think it's going to be impossible to keep track of. They already struggle. Like, I mean,
Because then what the judge calls you and then they put it into the iPad and then
who knows? I don't know how they plan to keep
and
track
what
of
they look at my smudged number on my arm.
it. No, they're temporary tattoos now.
Yeah, I
And
barely got
because
the thing on properly.
you can no longer spit or dump the water on your head, it won't wash off.
If you're spitting on your arm, then you're doing it wrong. Ew.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Doubles. So anyway, I guess we call that a fail.
Yeah.
Double to now. So last year, doubles was essentially a uh, non-invitational, open to anybody race. Top three go to Worlds. It will now be like the regular solo Elite 15 is, where the top 15 highest times will be invited to run in the Elite 15 doubles race. What do you think?
It's just making it so hard
Oh, and it's
for
based on one time for the doubles, not two.
to get into this Elite 15 thing.
Yeah. So your best time
Just
over the
makes it
pack.
so hard to break into this. Um, and the one, so I do understand the one race thing to some degree because again, I feel like with a lot of the rules and the qualifying systems before is you have to put in a lot to travel because you have to make it to two locations and then it's rolling the dice, picking a fast course. But with the one race, you're super rewarding like a Berlin course.
Everybody in Berlin,
Yeah, yeah,
possibly Glasgow. Glasgow's pretty traditionally fast.
yeah. So with this kind of scenario, people are very much going to be picking traditionally fast courses.
I think it's stupid.
Mm.
It's probably worst idea they could have for the doubles division. And yeah, I don't see any benefit. It just it's just another step in the wrong direction. And it's like you knew it was the wrong direction because you changed, like you had the solos doing one time being the qualifier, and you knew that was wrong, so you made it an average of two, which is still wrong. But at least you're acknowledging that it's wrong. So for our doubles, we're going to put you in the system that we said was wrong for our solos.
Yeah.
It doesn't pass the
Yeah.
logic test to me. So I think it's an epic fail, not just fail. That's an epic fail, and
Mhm.
I'm very disappointed because I was so stoked to see even more doubles this year and even more teams that we might not see a lot of get their fair shot at. I mean, you know, like the Van den Lindenloofs, they wouldn't have been in there, you
Mhm.
know, like it just stuff like that. I've harped on that one forever. I think that's a mistake. Um, okay. Along the same lines, LCQ is gone to be replaced by regionals in which there'll be three, one here, or sorry, one in North America, one in Europe, one in Australia, each one allowing one person, the winner, to go on to Worlds. And own those races only being open to people who have passports of that area. And it will also be an invitational of the top 15 of that geographical area.
So where do the people that live in the UAE go?
Europe. Same with the people who live in South Africa.
Yeah.
That's all right. I think the people in Argentina go to Phoenix. And
What?
well, I think it's all America.
Oh, okay. Oh, so
North
it's
America,
like, so you're kind of just
top to
splitting the
bottom.
globe into three vertical lines.
Yeah, yeah. It's like we get the whole hemisphere, and then over there, it's like kind of a chop through Asia. Anyway,
Okay.
so well, yeah, your thoughts first.
So the LCQ made it extremely difficult for people to break into the Elite 15. I mean, it's hard anyways because you qualify into it for Worlds from Elite 15 races.
I think
So,
I think you might have said that wrong. You said the LCQ made it harder for people to break in.
well, there's only one.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's one opportunity. So basically, you have, let's say, and I mean now it's so deep, 40 to 60 athletes, let's say, who have the potential to be in the Elite 15. And they have to peak on one day to make it into. They have one opportunity all season. So then like Worlds isn't even probably their focus. It's the LCQ. That's their A race of the whole season is the LCQ. And everything has to go right in this race for them to make it into Elite 15. That's putting so much onto one race. So I do think that there needs to be another way. But so I don't mind the idea of the regional things because it does spread it out a little bit. And I do appreciate that you can't, someone from North America can't race all three of them to try to get in.
So I don't mind the regional idea.
Mhm.
I just hate that to me, the LCQ added so much drama, added at least four people who would never have been in the Elite 15 to the World Championship, and some of them who became like some of the stories of the show between Sinead Bent,
Mhm.
Emily, Heidi, like they were big stories and
Yeah.
all performed amazingly. None of those people would be there without the LCQ.
Hmm.
It, in my mind, it may have been the best race of the year,
Yeah.
and you took it away to do these other races where one person will get in. And it's another Elite 15 race through qualifiers, meaning it's
Oh, it's not just like everybody
no,
races in the fastest time.
no,
Oh.
no, it's literally so it's Elite 15 qualifiers, but only from that geographical area.
Okay, so now I don't like it. I thought it was like I could sign up for it. And
Initially, I thought that too, and even though it was one person, I would have been okay with that because I'm like, okay, everybody's
everybody
got a
can
shot,
shoot their shot. Yeah.
win and get in, right?
Yeah.
If you got it, you got it. Um, but no, it's not. It's so what I'm worried about seeing now is basically seven of the nearly identical races because all the people are going to be the same.
Yeah.
There may be a little difference when you do the geographic ones, when you do the regionals, maybe a little bit here or there. But guess what? It's not going to be at the top.
Yeah.
And it's likely not going to be people fighting for the podium. So it will be, like, okay, great, somebody new gets a shot, but it's it's a big step backwards in my mind. Like I thought they would have learned that the LCQ, as popular as it was, and the athletes raved about it, and the fans raved about it, and media raved about it. Everybody loved it. And I
Mhm.
thought that they would have clapped on that, hey, maybe we need more of these, not less. And instead,
Well,
they,
what if we didn't call it an LCQ and the LCQ is like the regionals is held like the LCQs.
well, yeah, well, they all should be held like the LCQ. But
Yeah.
yeah, like, I mean, we've gone over dozens and dozens of times. I want the LCQ style race for every major, right?
Yeah.
For doubles, for solo, for everything. So this is just another, so it's a big step in the wrong direction. And I think a lot of people feel that way. A lot of people love that LCQ race, and now it's
Mhm.
gone. And I'm like, it's a mistake. It's a mistake in my book.
Yeah.
Um,
I thought the regionals was like LCQs for each region.
well, because that would have made more sense.
Well, that's what I thought that they were doing. And then I was like, oh, this kind of makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, we're
Oh,
not
no.
playing that game.
Oh, okay. Never mind. It's a
Yeah,
fail.
that's a fair. And like I said, that's a big one. There was one hand. Now I look back at my list, and there's one more. So this is very anticlimactic because climactic because it's almost a nothing one. It's a more of a rule clarification. Um, Burpee hand placement is now being clarified as 30 centimeters from the back of your hand to the tip of your toe.
I thought that's what it was.
Yeah, but they never clarified where the hell the measurement was from. It was just 12 inches or a foot. They wouldn't even
A,
say 12 inches. They say a foot from your
a
hand to
foot.
your foot, from your hand to your foot. And it was like, what part of your hand and what part of your foot?
Okay, so
Never
I in my
clarified.
mind it was always assumed that it was the base of my hand to the tip of my foot. Like
So,
the
okay.
space between the foot and the hand is
So
a foot.
when I judged Vegas, they told us in the briefing, tip of the finger to
Well,
the
that's dramatically
tip of the
different.
toe. It's hugely different.
I
But and
in
then
my
it's
mind
not
it makes
that.
more sense if it's the space in between,
Okay, exactly. So
which is what it is now, right?
a lot of people, yes. So
Okay.
realistically, what they have done now is finally clarified the rule that's been there the whole time,
Oh, okay.
which I think that's a good thing.
Hmm.
That's a pass in my mind. They finally clarified. It's long overdue,
Hmm.
but it's finally clarified. A lot of people are complaining because they've had it up to here with the burpees and like, oh, am I 31 centimeters? Am I 30 centimeters? Who can possibly judge this at full speed? And some of the judges were very much more aggressive than other judges. And when I say aggressive, I mean more aggressive in their calls of what they saw, what they called it, and it's like strike zones, right? It just wasn't. A lot of people aren't happy with how that's working. I have had a solution for ages on how to do this, on what we should do. Do you think there's a better way? Some people are saying just let them dive bomb, let them do RX1 burpees. You know,
Yeah, I mean that is a solution too.
yeah. So what's your solution? What do you think would
I
work?
didn't even really think about that, but like that would super change the race now though.
Yeah.
You would do half the amount of burpees.
Yeah, but you would and you'd expend a lot of energy doing those dive bomb burpees. So you would pay the price, but you could be fast.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
but they're faster anyways. You because of the distance just um yeah, this one is a tricky one and I've heard a lot of different suggestions too with having like extra lines on the floor.
that was my suggestion ages ago.
Yeah. Which probably makes the most sense without having to change the movement at all.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and then adding tech is still something where we're talking like years down the road before it's usable and effective and reliable. So yeah, I this it's a tricky one because it's we're still looking at a measurement in a movement that people do really fast. So I don't really have a good solution, but I think putting 30 centimeter lines on the floor then is probably your best bet.
And if you do that, like, and this was my suggestion ages ago, and I've made it many times. If you do the 30 centimeter lines, your feet land in one, your hands go down in the next one.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. I think that one probably makes the most sense. Yeah.
So why the fuck aren't they doing it?
And it's
I'm
a
sure
pretty
it's not
easy
just me
fix.
who's it's not just me who's come up with this. It's not just I know Mark Howe because I listened to Race Brain and they said Mark Howe had an idea of just using the current meter line. So other people have had these ideas or similar ones,
Hmm.
but they're just insistent on this. It's like they just keep doubling down on things and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a tricky one.
And apparently in the rule book, and this was a good is a good thing, but I still don't think they did it enough. With the wall balls, they put in some pictures of how what your depth should look like and such and such. And I just have no idea. And I specifically have had conversations and I've written this rule out for them because they still says hip below the knee. Hips are big, knees are big. Be
Well,
more.
and then like you were talking with the hands, are we talking the bottom of the hip, the top of the hip? I'm assuming hip crease.
Some people got big ass hips, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, they don't even say hip crease. They say hip below the knee. And for me, even if they would just say center of the hip below the center of the knee, that would be more. That would be better, right?
Hmm.
Because if I show you a picture and I say point out the hip, you could be
Yeah.
in all the spaces, but if I point to the center of the hip, you and I are going to
So they didn't rewrite this rule.
no.
So I think what they said to the judges at World was their butt had to hit the bottom of the knee because I saw judges, like I said, putting their hand out and their butt had to hit their hand. And it was basically at the line of the knee.
But and now I'm going to call, and this is just because she gets called out of the time, and it doesn't matter. If Danny Spiegel is doing wall balls, her butt and her quads, like her legs, are so big
Yeah.
that that butt is going to hit your hand without her being below parallel,
Yes.
right? So, I mean, I don't think that's a very good guide. That is essentially using the bucket,
Yes. Yes,
right?
exactly.
So, anyway,
Yeah. I'm just, and it was people that were pretty questionable anyways, so they needed a guide of some sort. Um,
I got to repost my one where I use that level on my leg. I taped the level to my leg. That's the way to go. We just tape levels
yeah.
to those legs.
Yeah. I mean, the wall balls is the other hugely controversial thing, but
Yeah, well, we are just going with some of the rules today. Yeah, I don't know.
mhm.
Some things were good. Some
Yeah.
things have been
Like
made better.
like it, we haven't talked about it, but the spinning rule, I was like, thank
I
God.
know you like the spinning rule. You're big on the spinning rule. I like the no rapid cooling, the dumping over your head because
Yeah.
that
Man,
is a very slippery
rock
spot.
zone. We're talking polished concrete.
Yeah,
You're
very
making a
slippery
skating rink.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. I
And
I remember in Toronto, I was like tiptoeing through the area because it was like a skating rink. It was in
and
Toronto. I forget one of the races.
well, it's funny though, because in New York, when we went to New York the first time, they were actually hosing us down through the rock zone.
Oh my gosh.
Well, it
Well, but
was
what was the surface like?
surface was more grippy. It was
Yeah.
and it was again so cooking hot. They were trying to keep everybody cool. So I was okay with that. But it's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
that
Yeah.
now we would all get disqualified.
Yeah. Well, the spitting thing, yeah. I was and the reason it made me so happy was because the spit on the burpee broad jumps at Worlds was like, oh my gosh. Like I almost landed in it with my full chest, like big wads of hork. It is so gross.
Would you like to describe hork to everybody too? Because apparently that's not a term everybody knows.
Okay, is this a Canadian word? I was because of Canada Day, I was seeing these reels come up today of like words that Canadians use that Americans don't know. Hork is like the deep throaty spit, like bringing it up where it came from the back of the nasal passage, and it's a big goopy wad of spit is hork.
As actual
Probably, yeah,
actual
probably popularized by hockey culture because hockey players love to spit.
ugh, terrible, terrible. And I'm all for it too, but I do think they should put like hork buckets
Ew.
outside of every zone.
Ew. Yeah.
This is
And
the
then it's
garbage
your
can.
job to clean the hork bucket.
Not my job. Not my job. It's
That's
better to clean the
gross.
hork bucket than to clean the hork carpet.
Oh, well, that's true.
So,
The
by the way, if you're
carpet was
racing,
actually so slippery. I would land and slide forward. And
if
that's not just from, I mean, that was sweat too, but the whole burpee broad jump thing was just
if you're
so.
racing Beth and you get to the burpee broad jumps before, just like all over,
Ah!
done. She's out.
So gross.
Oh,
Oh, no, in race mode, I can handle a lot. And that's what I actually thought was I'm glad I'm racing because I would probably puke if I wasn't racing. Because in a race, you just like shut it out, whatever, I'm diving in pork. So, but yeah, yuck.
nice, nice.
That was a, yeah, that was a good move. Thank you, Hyrox.
Bethany's favorite rule. Massive pass. Massive
Yeah. The
first
only
epic
rule,
pass.
the only rule on them I saw where I'm like, yes, you go, Hyrox.
I think it's okay. I think it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm not a big spitter either. And you
Mm-mm.
know, I will admit, like on a trail every now and again, you spit in the woods,
That's totally different.
but yeah, not on never never inside,
No.
especially
No.
when you know someone's going to be like running through there. It's just yeah,
Yeah, or on the running track, like what if someone's flying up behind you? Like, no.
awesome. All right, Beth. I think we've reviewed our rules. We've passed. We failed. I think we passed. They failed. Um, you got anything
Yeah,
else? You got anything else for tonight?
I do not.
All right,
No.
take us home.
Yeah, thanks so much everyone for listening. Especially our Canadian listeners. Happy Canada Day. We hope you celebrated it well. Um, yeah, we're very patriotic today. I have my Team Canada shirt on. I was been wearing Canada stuff all day. Moccasins.
The leaf tattoo.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks again everyone and until next time, keep crushing it.
Take care.